I set my eyes on the rock. It lay there, almost ordinary. Yet what covered it was anything but. Dark spots, circle after circle, tiny specks peppering its surface. On Earth, patterns like these almost always lie in the realm of biology. Microbes, bacteria, life leaving traces in stone. But this rock didn't come from Earth. This rock came from Mars. And yesterday, at a press conference held by Perseverance's team, the announcement dropped. They believe this could be the best evidence yet that life once existed on Mars. A moment potentially historic for humanity. You've heard this kind of story before. Habitable exoplanets, organic molecules in the clouds of Venus. But this time, here, up close, on another world. Welcome back to Beyond the Stars. We'll walk through what was found and what it might mean. Our tale begins in the crater named Jezero Crater. NASA chose this spot for Perseverance's mission because evidence shows it once held a vast lake. Rivers flowed, carrying water and the right ingredients for life. But today, dry. The mission is to search for fossils of ancient life. On June 9th last year, Perseverance drove into the inlet channel. There, a slab of hardened rock grabbed the attention of the team. They approached. On the surface, those strange little dark spots and large circular patterns. First nicknamed leopard spots and poppy seeds. To the layperson, maybe a curiosity. To the geologists at NASA, however, alarm bells. On Earth, patterns like these are often signs of ancient microbes, life. Colonizing muddy sediments, leaving ring patterns of minerals as they go. Of course, seeing similar patterns on Mars, excitement triggered. They deployed Perseverance's full toolkit to survey the rock. But because of the magnitude of the find, they took it further. They drilled into the slab, sealed the core in a metal tube. They dubbed the sample Sapphire Canyon, one of the most precious samples ever collected on Mars. The goal? One day, bringing such a sample back to Earth. But for now, the rover's robotic arm did what it could. And here's where it gets truly interesting. It wasn't just the pattern. The mudstone contained organic molecules, carbon-based compounds, right where those dark spots lived. The rings seemed packed with iron, phosphorus, sulfur, and two special minerals, vivianite and greigite. On Earth, those minerals often link to decaying organic matter, plant and animal. Suddenly, the dots connected. The rings, the minerals, the organic stuff, the water-rich history of Jezero. Over the following year, scientists on Earth pushed the data hard. They asked, could there be any other explanation? Geologists considered, maybe high-temperature geology, but that would destroy vivianite, which forms only at low temperatures. Not plausible. Maybe extremely acidic water flowing through over ages. No, that would have altered other minerals. And yet we still see olivine, sensitive to acid, intact. Doesn't fit. Maybe a pure chemical reaction, a catalyst, giving the illusion of biology. The conditions seem unlikely. All lines point to one scenario: ancient microbial life using sulfur-iron redox reactions, leaving behind those dark ring patterns in the mud as the lake dried and sediments hardened. If life arises wherever conditions allow, having found it on Mars changes everything. But the team is cautious. Why? Because in past decades, we've walked down promising paths before only to find the explanation was simpler. In 1976, the Viking landers squirting nutrients into Martian soil triggered gas release that seemed biological, but later the answer was reactive soil chemistry. Mission after mission showed Mars was once wet, once habitable, but not definitive proof of life. Now, Perseverance may have found footprints. Let's talk about what it takes for the find to be accepted. NASA uses a confidence of life detection scale, from low to high, from noticing a potential biosignature to having multiple independent analyses confirming alien life. Right now, this find probably sits somewhere in the middle. Of course, they haven't shouted, "We found life," because extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence, and the only way to reach the highest confidence is bringing the rocks home. That's the mission of Mars sample return. Perseverance has been collecting samples, sealing them for delivery. But to inspect them fully, Earth labs are unbeatable. A future mission will fetch the tubes, launch them into orbit, and ultimately bring them to Earth in the 2030s. Imagine, one day, in our labs, we hold a Martian rock in our hands and discover the undeniable marks of alien microbes. What changes for us? The way we view life. We may realize that life, far from being rare and fragile, is resilient, ubiquitous where conditions allow. That recognition could shift human perspective, planet to planet, life to life. It makes the universe a more populated place. The idea that we're alone becomes less plausible. And maybe, just maybe, we feel less isolated in the cosmos. I believe if we uncover that life existed on Mars, the impact will ripple through philosophy, science, culture, even everyday life. We'll ask bigger questions. How did that life evolve? Did it share a common ancestor with Earth life? Did it independently arise? What does that say about life elsewhere? And perhaps, for humanity, it's a wake-up call. We are part of a larger family of life. So keep your eyes on the sky. Keep your mind open. Because if this sample truly is what it appears to be, a fossil record of ancient Martian microbes, then we may be witnessing one of the most significant discoveries in human history. If you'd like a full deep dive on how Mars sample return works, the engineering, the timeline, the risks, I can absolutely pull that together. But for now, imagine the dark spots on that rock, the rings like poppy seeds, locked in stone for billions of years. They might just be the faint signature of a long-gone Martian biosphere. And if that's true, the question, are we alone, might finally have an answer. And so here we are, standing on the edge of an extraordinary moment in human history. A single rock, lying silently on the red surface of Mars, could hold the answers to one of the greatest questions ever asked. Are we alone in the universe? Those dark circular markings, the leopard spots and poppy seeds, might not just be mineral stains or geological quirks. They could be the fossilized remains of ancient microbes, the faint signatures of life that once thrived in the waters of Jezero Crater billions of years ago. If that's true, then everything changes. It would mean that life didn't just happen here, on our blue planet, by some miraculous coincidence. It would mean that life is a natural outcome of the universe, something that arises wherever the conditions are right. It would mean that the cosmos is not silent, not empty, but alive. For thousands of years, we've looked up at the stars and wondered if we were unique. We've sent ships across oceans, built telescopes to peer into the depths of space, and launched rovers to crawl across distant worlds, all in search of a reflection of ourselves. And now, thanks to Perseverance, we might be closer to that reflection than ever before. But to know for sure, to confirm whether these strange markings truly are the fingerprints of Martian life, we have to bring that rock home. That's where the Mars sample return mission comes in, a daring multi-stage plan to collect those sealed cores, launch them into Martian orbit, and ferry them back across millions of miles to Earth. It's one of the most ambitious scientific efforts humanity has ever attempted. And when it succeeds, we'll be able to study those samples with instruments far beyond anything we can send to another planet. Imagine the moment those tubes arrive. Scientists gathered around, opening them carefully under sterile lights, peering into Martian history locked inside. Imagine being alive to witness the instant humanity finally confirms that life existed beyond Earth. That discovery would ripple through everything: science, philosophy, religion, culture. It would forever change the way we see ourselves and our place in the cosmos. But to get there, this story needs more than engineers and scientists. It needs dreamers, explorers, and people like you who care about where we're headed. Because exploration doesn't happen in silence. It happens when millions of us believe in it, enough to keep it alive. So if this story moved you, if the thought of finding life beyond Earth fills you with wonder, don't just close the tab and forget it. Be part of the journey. Subscribe, because we're going to follow this story as it unfolds. The missions, the discoveries, the challenges, and the breakthroughs. Hit that like button if you believe exploration still matters. And share this with someone who needs a little reminder of how incredible our universe truly is.